it seems to me that if any gradation that we can do from these people just being out on the street or an underpass, it seems to me that it's a step up for them. It's a step up security wise, and it's a move towards them holding themselves to a higher standard. For example, in a navigation center, if people can be required to clean up their space, their area, they have different requirements. I just worry that any strategy that we take that doesn't require the person to do everything they can do to be self-sufficient, to live with dignity, if we don't require them to do everything they can do, we're cheating them out of making progress. From a psychological standpoint, that's a big deal to me.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that we need to try to give people the tools and, of course, encourage people to try to stabilize, and we want them to get healthy I've met, one of the great things about San Francisco, I love the city for so many reasons, with all of its challenges, is that people here are super engaged politically, and they know who their elected officials are, and including the homeless people. So almost every day, at some point, or more than once a day, I'll be walking down the street, and a homeless person will come up to me and they'll be like, "Oh, you're Senator Wiener," and they tell me what they think about everything. You talk to them, and I also meet a lot of people who used to be homeless in San Francisco and who now are in supportive housing or some sort of housing, and talk to me about how thankful they are that the city, provided them with that hand up. And there are people who still, when Gavin Newsom was mayor of San Francisco, this was a big priority for him, focusing resources on getting people into permanent supportive housing. And there are still people who come up to me and say, "I will vote for Gavin Newsom forever because that guy got me off the street and I am stable today because of him." And so I agree that we need to do everything in our power to make that happen.
What do you think about law enforcement with regard to shoplifting in the San Francisco area? Because you've gotten a lot of press up there for not prosecuting retail shoplifting. It doesn't seem to be organized crime shoplifting. It seems to be individualized shoplifting, particularly in drugstores and things of that nature. But it doesn't seem to be enforced much at the arrest level. And it seems that a lot of even the misdemeanor citations that are given ultimately get dismissed. Where do you come down on that?
Yeah, and the retail theft has been a huge issue in a lot of places in San Francisco and other parts of the Bay Area, in Southern California too. It's something that has been in other parts of the country. It's been big, and it's horrible. It's unacceptable. And a lot of it is organized crime. Yes, there are random people who steal a little bit here and there, but there's a lot of organized retail theft that's happening, and it needs to be, people need to be arrested. They need to be accountable. When it's organized retail theft, they should be prosecuted. For the person who's just like down and out and shoplifting for that, there are diversion programs that we can have for people. Not everyone needs to be going to jail or prison. But especially for the organized retail theft, it's so damaging. And the Walgreens in my neighborhood, I live in the Castro, and it's a big Walgreens, open 24 hours a day. Almost every time that I go in there to get everything, I have to have them unlock it for me because, it just changes the experience for everyone. And a lot of these Walgreens and CVSs, they'll hire an off-duty police officer to stand there, which has a positive impact, but they shouldn't have to bear that expense. So we do need to make sure that we're holding people accountable, particularly for the organized retail theft.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I have one final question.
Yep.
It's always the final question that gets you right. I talk to a lot of people in politics, state, local, and national. You are uncommonly passionate about the things that you advocate for. What got you onto this path, Scott?
I grew up in southern New Jersey, a Jewish kid, Jewish family, one of two Jews in my class, high school class of 550. Enormous anti-Semitism growing up. And I wasn't from a political family, but early on, I sort of realized that, politics is sort of, it's a matter of life and death, right? It's not just, am I happy with this or unhappy with that? It's a matter of life and death. And I got really passionate as a teenager. And my parents never understood why I wanted to volunteer on campaigns, but I just started to do it. And over time, as a gay man, I came out during college and got really active in the community. And I didn't want to run for office. But I saw over time the intersection between working to make your community better and what happens in politics. And so even though politics can be icky, it's not always, pleasant. I saw that you can make change. And for me, being in office, I don't want to say I have no ego. We all have an ego. But if I were just in office just to have the title and to have people be deferential to me because I have the word senator before my name, I wouldn't do it. I'd be bored out of my mind. So I have a shelf life as an elected official. We have term limits in California. I'm not going to be here forever. And I want to be able to say that when I'm done, whether I'm tossed to the curb at some point or I term out or whatever, that I've left things a little bit better than when I found them. And the thing that gets me up in the morning is when someone comes up to me on the street and says, because of a bill that you did that got signed into law, something is better in my life, that gives me a natural high for weeks. And so that's why I do it.
Well, you've got to be seeing the effects of that now with the things you're doing, because you're doing things that affect those that don't have a voice for themselves. It seems like you're spending your time and your energy for those that need it the most. I know it's a tough hill, and you work so hard to get a bill passed, and then here you come and it gets knocked down. But whether everybody agrees with you or not, they can't disagree with your goal, and they can't disagree with the population that you're trying to help. You've made a fan out of me in terms of the things that you're trying to do, and I hope we can stay in touch and talk about this some more.
Yeah.
Because I think that this problem's not going to go away soon, and it's certainly not one-dimensional. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it, and I'm just and thank you for those kind words. And I'm just so appreciative of your in-depth engagement on this, because you have a lot of people tune in for you and listen to you, and I think you're really giving a lot of people opportunity to really look under the hood and see what's happening here.